Hello, I am Wanderer001 and this is my review of the Wyze Band Smart Home Assistant and Activity Tracker. I know that sounds like a mouthful, and if you're familiar with Wyze products at all, you might think this is a little odd for them to come out with, as they're primarily a smart home device manufacturer, such as cameras and sensors. But in recent days, Wyze has started branching off into the fitness tech industry. So, what we're looking at here is our Wyze Band itself. The Wyze Band itself consists of your actual smart portion here. You can see if I tilt it thusly that this entire front panel is not actually the entire screen. The screen itself is actually just shy of being an inch in length and is a AMOLED full color screen with a pixel ratio of 120 to 240 and having a PPI of 282. Now, what that means is, even though you have all of this front-facing panel, only a portion of that is the screen. And the screen is not terrible, but I do wish it was a little larger. You do have, the standard activity tracker style band. I will admit that this took some getting used to when I first got it. In fact, it also comes with a watch band style that I had considered changing to right away, but I figured for the necessity of doing a review that I should make sure that I test it with the equipment that it comes with. I will admit it did take time to get used to it. However, once you figure out how to use something like this, it does get much easier. So, you'll have to lean it against something to make it easier to kind of snap that together. The band itself is a rubberized material. It does not show fingerprints. It does not, keep sweat. It's actually kind of nice. You won't really notice it. The band itself is all of 2.6 ounces in weight, so you really won't notice this on your person. On the back here, if we open it up, you've got your charging ports, which are there at the top, and you've got your heart rate sensor there. This will glow green if you've never seen a heart rate sensor. And again, this for me is my first smart band, so that was a little interesting to see. You don't notice it during the daytime, but if you have this running at night, you will notice that. All right, coming to the left-hand side, there is nothing to look at. However, on the right-hand side there, you will notice that there are two microphone holes. That's because this does have Wzye integration. However, there are no speakers on the device, so you're really going to be looking at like a text-based response. Now, powering this device is a 120 milliamp battery that they say will get you about 10 days worth of normal usage. I will say that I was able to get 13 days of usage with fiddling with this for review purposes. Now, the other question is charging. How long does it take to charge something like this? Well, from zero, because I actually drained the battery completely, it only takes about just shy of 2 hours to actually charge this. Now, speaking of charging, it comes with its own proprietary charging cable, which you can see here. So you've got your little clips there, which you clip onto the back right there and charge it. It's got your standard USB plug right there. I will say this is ridiculously short. This needed to be much, much longer. When I actually charge this, I have it like dangling out of an electrical socket, which is just not good. Also, being a proprietary device, I've kind of gotten used to things that plug into things. So over time, if this happens to break, I'm kind of SOL and I will need to get a new one of these. Just come on, just make it so that plugs into something and make this longer. Come on, Wyze. I know this is your first attempt, so I'm going to give you some leniency there, but this is just ridiculous. Aside from that 120 milliamp battery, you also have a dual-core MCU processor, which is 100 plus 150 megahertz internal RAM. You have 288 kilobytes. I know that sounds like a small amount, but keep in mind the size of this and what you're actually using it for. And it has 16 meg of storage, flash storage. So again, size of the device, that's what you're getting with it. All right, let's take a look at what we have here. You can either set this to tip to turn on, or you can touch this button down here to also turn on. Now what we're gonna do is we're actually gonna zoom this in a little more because, well, we're gonna be concentrating on what's going on here. Right there, we see this is our main screen. You can see up there in the upper right-hand corner, there is a battery indicator. right there, it's showing that it's locked because, well, I have set up that this is locked. And this is just one of the many face screens that you can select. And that touch at the bottom is not the most sensitive. I also have set up swipe to unlock. So starting from the bottom, we're going to swipe up. Here is our activity tracker. Our activity is based on how we set this up in the app. It is by no means perfect. You could see your steps and your heart rate and your average sleeping there. I will say my sleep, and to activate more, we just click on it. You get little graphs which are, fairly accurate to read, albeit very small. Sleep tends to not be as accurate until you actually link this back up to the app itself. You have to sync that, and then this actually becomes a little better. Now, I will say that if you do not have the activity tracker on, it does not count as sleeping because it is technically counting heart rate to make sure that you're actually wearing it to sleep. I will say that before one of the patches that they did, or firmware updates, if I was sitting still too long, it thought I was sleeping. So I had a couple of instances where it thought I was sleeping when I wasn't. Scrolling up, you have shortcuts. Now, what shortcuts will allow you to do is have 5 possible shortcuts, which will allow you to interact with Wyze products. Now, what do I mean by that? Well, here I have turn basement light on and turn basement light off. So what that looks like using this is, right now basement light 1 is on, which is that light right there. If we just tap, and we'll just bring that a little closer so you can see, that says turn off. We're just going to go turn off, and there you go. Light turns off. Tap again. For the other shortcut I have, turn on, we wait, and there you go, turns on. And there you go. So if you have Wyze products and you want to use the band for that, you can. It's not super clunky to do, but not really why I would get this. And this is the fight that you'll have, is you have to constantly keep tapping it. Run. Now, I was not able to actually test the run because, well, we're on lockdown and I got nowhere I can actually go to run. But selecting this, it will give you a countdown timer, 3, 2, 1, and then go. And what it will do is it will track how long you've been running and the mileage. And if we swipe, it will show you heart rate and calories. Now, do keep in mind that this is not tracking you via GPS. It's based on the internal accelerometer. So it's not going to be as accurate as something that does have an internal GPS. Tapping the button at the bottom will allow you to continue or finish. If you ever forget to finish, it will continue to run in the background. So we're just going to click finish for now. There we go. It has stopped. Tapping the bottom one more time. Swiping. We have alarms. Selecting alarm. You can set up a bunch of alarms. Here I have wake, bed, and stop work, or when I should be stopping work. Just toggling these on or off means, tap there and whoop, there you go. Tap and it turns it on, or tap, tap, turn it off. There is no speaker in this, so it's just going to vibrate the band itself. There is a weather option, which will give you a several day forecast ahead, give you an idea of what the weather's going to be like. You have heart rate, which again, if you don't have this on your person, you're not actually going to get a heart rate. Find My Phone is interesting in that if you tap this, and my phone is just to the right of me, it's very low, but it will vibrate the phone and it will chime a little bit. If your phone is in battery saver mode, this will not work. Food for thought. Settings, you have very medium amount of settings. You have band info, you have brightness, you have do not disturb, slide to unlock, which is what I have set up, reboot and reset. Now, there is no adaptive brightness built into the band itself. There is a bedtime setting which you can activate, which during a specific time frame it will lower the brightness to its lowest setting, but there is no go outside and it becomes brighter, or go inside and it becomes less bright. I will say if it's at full brightness in direct sunlight, you can kind of make it out, but if you are in the lowest brightness setting outside, you will not see it. It's washed out completely. Here we have our Wzye integration. Now, it's not perfect integration. As I said before, there is no speaker on this device, so you are looking at text-based responses. So you don't actually have to say the trigger phrase. We just tap and hold down this white pill button right here, and we could say, how tall is Mount Rushmore? How tall is Mount Rushmore? There you go. So that one actually took a little time to do. I will say I was kind of expecting there to be a speaker in here so I could ask it questions and just have it respond. The Wzye integration will work on any screen. There are specific Wzye settings that you can access, which are alarms, reminders, and timers. However, these three have to be set up on the band itself. If you set this up through another Wzye device, they don't automatically get pushed to your band. So I thought that was a little bit of a shortcoming. You've got notifications. Here you can see I've got a little red dot there, which means I have more notifications. So there's my smart dry, letting me know that things are done, and then there are also text messages in there from a very overzealous boss. Actually going to your notifications and viewing your new notifications, make that little red dot disappear. And then we are back to our face. So majority of what you can do on the band itself does have a corresponding and extended menu option through the app itself. So let's actually take a look at the application for the Wyze band. Here we have the Wyze band application. It is part of the overall Wyze app itself. So it's kind of integrated in here with all the other things. Wyze bulbs, Wyze plugs, Wyze sensors, their cameras, but we're going to click right on our Wyze band at the top. If you haven't synced your device, you'll see that at the top. It quickly does a check to see if it syncs. You've got several screens that we're going to talk about. First, being in the upper right-hand corner, are three dots here. This will allow us to check information on our band. Here we can see battery life is at 70%. Device name is Wyze band, but you can always change that if you wanted to. Health data will show body type, year born, height, and weight. So little personal information, I'm going to skip that for now. Device information will show you firmware, Bluetooth address, all that fun stuff. Here you have your Wzye authorization. So right here you can see I do have it synced up. You can report an issue, you can see the user guide, and you can run in the background. Now, the problem with this is you do need to actually run the Wyze app in the background in order to access a lot of the more interesting features of the Wyze band. Here you can see it's actually showing you, it knows what my phone is, so it's a Google phone. This is still my Google Pixel 2. So that is our device information from our three dots there. Starting on our main screen here, you can see this is mirroring what you actually have on the Wyze band. Clicking on your page here will show you what your clock face is. You can change the font colors right here. You can see just by clicking right here. I'm going to leave it on this blue one. You can change the display layout. So right now I have it on this, but if you want bigger clock, smaller, I mean, you've got a plethora of choices. I like having the time, date, and these steps. You can also change your background. So right now I chose that one. This is the default one. There you've got some other options. We're going to change it to that one for now. But you also have the option of more. Clicking more will allow you to just have a unichrome or unicolor theme, or you can choose a photo from your album. Now, you can either take a photo with your phone right now, or you can use it from the gallery. Problem with the gallery is that it's only photos that are on the phone itself. So if you use a service like Google Photos, you will not be able to actually pull from there. You have to use something that is on the phone itself. So that's our clock face. In the upper right-hand corner, you would select Save to keep it. But I'm not going to, so I'm just going to discard the changes that I made. Moving down, we have our activity. Now you'll notice on the left-hand side, as I'm changing, we're moving down this options bar on the left as well. So here we have our activity. If I select activity, it's going to give you a rundown of activity. Well, once it loads, because it's synced some data, so it's taking its sweet time. There we go. So here you can see, this is my 7-day outlook for my steps. I can do a 30-day, a month, but since I'm at the start of a month for May, there's not really data. But if I come back here to April, you can see I've got lots of data. Now, clicking on these will give you a rough estimation, steps and the mileage. Sadly, since we're all on lockdown and I work remotely and sit in front of a computer for like 12 hours out of the day now, I'm not really walking as much as I used to, which is a little sad. Coming across, we've got calories. Again, I'm going to pop back to April since that's where most of my data has come from. So here it'll give you a rough calorie estimation. Sleep. Now we're going to pop back again to April, and I'm leaving this on the 30-day because the 7-day kind of looks like that. So I did find if you do not wear the band, which is helpful, it does not record sleep. But if you have it on, it will record this. So you can see the dark blue is deep sleep. The light blue is light sleep, and then you have wake time, being this orangish brown. Now, the one thing I do not like is it will tell you 8 hours, 50 minutes of sleep roughly. You went to bed around this time and woke up around this time, which is about right. But I wish that, you see here where I had very little deep sleep and a lot of light sleep. I wish that clicking on these would actually kind of give you an estimation saying you have this many hours of light sleep, or you have this many hours of deep sleep. On the band itself, you kind of get an idea of when those time periods were, but I figured if you have more screen real estate on your screen here, that they can add that kind of stuff. Wish they would do it, but what are you gonna do? Heart rate, again, so this is just a randomization heart rate. So here I actually was doing some exercise, which is my heart rate was so spiky. But yeah, it'll give you your min, your max, and you can kind of see the average going through there. Again, all of these have the 7 and 30-day outlook. Run. So this would be history of running. Sadly, again, because I'm on lockdown, there's not really a place that I can go to run right now. But if you had any run history, it would be in here. Moving on, we have shortcuts. Now, shortcuts are things that you set up for the Wyze account. In my case, I have 2 available shortcuts that I've already created. One for turning off my Wyze cam that's in my living room, and then for turning it on. So I can do that at the push of a button. If I wanted to, I can add those shortcuts to the Wyze band. Now, you only have slots of 5. So right now I'm using 2 of 5. I can reorder these. Ooh, move that away. I can reorder these however I want, or I can remove them by clicking the minus sign next to them. You can also create a new shortcut, which will bring you pretty much into the rule creation screen, which is outside of the Wyze band portion of the app, but takes you into the other areas that I've covered in other videos for the actual creation, which I'll throw a card up here now so you can check that out if you want. So after shortcuts, you have running. So again, you can select different options for your running. So notify me every mile, screen always on, which I currently have off, and receive notifications on or off. Now, in my case, I have it off, but if you were to use this and have notifications while you're running, you can still get text messages. Next, you have alarms. Selecting alarms will allow you to set alarms. You can have 6 alarms. So there are 2 that come by default, and then one that I added right here, which is supposed to be the end of my workday. You can add an alarm by clicking the add alarm at the bottom, and you just scroll through your times, and then you can select repeat never, or days of the weeks that you wish this to repeat, and then you can label your alarm. In my case, we are going to cancel and discard changes because we don't want to keep any of this. Coming down, we have our weather selection. So here you can see weather you have set automatically based on your location. You can have a current city, which you can put in yourself if you're not in that location, temperature in Fahrenheit or Celsius, and then daily weather reminder, which will push a forecast every night at 10 p.m. There is a slight weather delay in updating the information. So normally I have it on, set location automatically, but I don't actually want to show you my location. Coming down, heart rate, just that. It will show you your heart rate data. So here's my heart rate for today, May 1st, April 30th. I wish that they had a monthly chart here. Would be nice. Here you can see periodic detection. By default, it is set to detect every 10 minutes. That could be changed to as low as 5 minutes or all the way up to 60 minutes in between intervals. Coming down, you have Find. What this is the Find My Band. So if I click on this and I select Find Band, hopefully you can hear that. I actually have the Wyze band in the hand that I'm holding the phone in right now. It buzzes the Wyze band. Now the thing is, there are no speakers in the Wyze band itself. So what that means is you have to listen very carefully for a little vibrating motor. Hope you have it on a hard surface or that it's not buried in a couch cushion, because then it will be very difficult to find. Next you have settings. Selecting settings will show you rise and wake time, which can be altered. So you have rise to wake, which is flipping the Wyze band into a observing position, which will automatically turn on the watch face. And then you have the start time of 7 a.m. and an end time of 11:59 p.m., which are things that I can set up, which you can set up. Now, I will say this isn't the greatest. The wake feature, the rise to wake feature, works okay, but I have had the band go off when it's supposed to not go off in the middle of the night and blind my wife, so she does not appreciate that. Show battery level, you can select this on or off. That's the little battery indicator on the Wyze band itself. Wrist, which wrist are you going to wear this on, left or right? So it kind of helps it figure out your stepping sequence. Slide upward to unlock. So that's just an extra feature that you have to touch and slide up in order to actually work with the Wyze band, which I thought would be a good feature. It is a good feature, but not as responsive as I would hope, because I do tend to get false swipes on it. Notifications. So these are anything that you want to push to the band itself. Most of these work okay. Phone calls, text messages, Wyze alerts. You also have other notifications, which is down here at the bottom, other applications. Right now I have a few selected, and let me swipe through these really quickly, see if I can find it, because it was, yeah. Hangouts doesn't work at all. Smart Dry, which I did a review up in the corner there, works okay. I get them 50% of the time. MMS messages, or multimedia text type messages, do not get pushed. So they're still working on it, I hope, because originally any of these other applications, you used to just get a message that said, we'll notify you when Google Play approves this. We'll notify. So it's not early days, because I've waited almost 3 weeks now to review this. So I kind of was hoping that they'd get that pushed out a little faster, but notifications are hit or miss based on other reviews that I've seen too. Do not disturb smart mode. So what this is you will not receive any notifications. If you leave smart mode on, it will figure out when you're actually awake and doing things, or you can set, a fixed time period. So Wyze band brightness, selecting this, you have 3 dots. You can low, medium, high. I leave it on medium. You also have the ability to change that from the band. You have night mode. So selecting this again, lower screen brightness at certain hours. So for me, I have it starting at 10 p.m. and ending at 7 a.m. So the screen should automatically lower itself to the lowest setting. There is no adaptive light sensor on the band, so this is the only way that you'd be able to have that automatically lower in some way, shape, or form. And then you have your time zone. For me, it's New York because, well, yep, I'm in New York. Here you go. You got reboot device. You can do that from right there. And here we come down to our AlexA settings. So this is pretty much where you would come to actually set up your AlexA integration. Even though you have AlexA set up as part of the Wyze app, you do have to set up a separate toggle to give the band access to that, because there are microphones on the band. Notifications takes us to our notifications area, which we got through our settings. Last but not least, over here on the left-hand side, you've got settings, which is there, and then these two aren't there. However, we can change this left-hand menu. By selecting the plus sign there, we can remove, add, or rearrange these items however we like. So on the band itself, hypothetically, if you want AlexA alerts to be the last thing in your menu structure there, you can just drag and drop. You can also say, well, I don't necessarily need the run because, well, I don't need that right now. Well, there you go. Run gets put down into the more functions, and then it's taken away from your menu here. You can also then just add it and we'll throw it back. Upper right-hand corner, you can save your changes or you can cancel. In my case, I'm just going to cancel for now and discard those changes. So this has been a look at the Wyze band portion of the Wyze app. So you can see that the extended usage that you get through the Wyze app itself is not much more detailed than what you have with the Wyze band itself. So then the other question, aside from what can I do with it, really should have been one of the earlier questions, is how easy is it to set up the Wyze band? Well, I will say that the Wyze band comes fully charged. You do have to dock it at least once at the beginning to kind of trigger things to turn on, but after that, setup is really easy, as can be seen here. All right, this will be setup of Wyze band. It does come fully charged out of the box, so you don't have to charge that. But what we do is we get our band here, we come over to our Wyze app, and we select add a product, scroll down to the bottom, select Wyze band, and then we're just going to tap that lower portion right here, and then we're going to make sure that this number is the same that's being displayed on the screen. Okay, so tapping the screen. All right. So it took a minute for the two to talk to each other because this just paused the searching. So you touch the circle in the middle there. Confirm your brand. Confirm your band right here on my band. It says confirm. Okay. I'm going to touch it to confirm. So it says tap the OK button, which I did. Touch screen's a little iffy. All right. And then it says your band is successfully added. There you go. Which hand are you going to wear this on? I'll probably wear this on my left. And then it walks you kind of through how to use it. So swipe up and down. Gives you some information. Swiping left or right gives you a little more functionality. And then you've got a heart meter as well. Can hold down that button right there to talk with she who shall not be named. And there we go. It's all set up. And then this is the, downloading firmware already. So band is updating. That's what it looks like when it updates. So probably not going to make you sit through this, although it does look like it's going to do it relatively quickly. So some of the things that I found using this for a 2-week period. As you saw when I tested the Wzye, text-based response and very slow to do. So if you can live with that, it's not terrible. The lift screen option, while useful, not as useful if you're using this to track your sleep and you have a spouse that's sleeping with you and gets blinded by this, because it doesn't always turn itself off when it's supposed to at night, which I kind of wish it did. The weather section does actually take a little time to sync to the device itself, and there you can see it wants me to swipe up because I have the swipe to unlock. The other thing with the Wzye integration is any other smart home devices that you have attached to it will also be able to be triggered. Now you can't set up shortcuts for other devices unless Wyze products, but if you have something like a TP-Link, you can actually turn it on using Wzye, like this. All right, example of using the band and its Amazon Wzye integration to turn on something that's not a Wyze device. So we're just going to click and hold. Turn on Workshop. And that's actually a TP switch that turns on the first light, and then a TP smart plug over there that talks with the smart switch. And then it says, just generic empty caption there, so that's not quite perfect, but clicking it again. Turn off Workshop. And then just again, it says an empty caption. So there you go, using the Wzye integration to turn on and off things that are not Wyze branded products. I talked about how good the battery life was, but there are some things that the battery kind of surprised me with, meaning when it gets down to about 20%, you get a notification on the band letting you know, hey, you need to charge this. After you get to that 20%, the actual walk tracking or steps kind of diminishes greatly. And if you get it down to 10%, forget about it. It just stops tracking you completely. Now, the step tracking, which I will say is for accuracy, because I tested this against my Fitbit Zip, again, review over there in the corner, and I found discrepancies of about 350 steps to like 500 steps, meaning that the Fitbit was getting more steps than this. And I can't tell if that's just because this is on my arm, and there are times where I don't swing my arm a lot, even though, I'm moving, I might be carrying something and it's not quite tracking that. I also did find that when washing hands, especially since we're doing that a lot more these days, washing my hands vigorously added about 30 steps to this. There is another thing that has been coming up from other reviewers that I've seen. I tested it, but didn't quite notice it myself because, well, when I wash my hands or interact with water, I push this up so it doesn't get wet. It is you know, waterproof to a specific, you know, certain extent. But right now, and will probably be fixed with a firmware update in the future, if you have running water on this, it actually starts scrolling through the screen. Again, having that lock on there in order to interact with it first is kind of helpful and makes it a little harder to do that. But I don't see why a product would do that out of the box. I figured they would fix that before sending this out. I mean, I gave it time too. I wasn't one of the first reviewers out there. I actually put in my due diligence in testing this. So, I mean, despite some of its shortcomings, and again, the Echo integration stuff, I was hoping for a little more. And one last food for thought with the Echo stuff. Yes, if you tell it to do reminders on the band itself, you'll have them buzz. But if you set up on another Alexa device, like an Echo Dot, tell it to set up a reminder or a timer, those do not get pushed to the band. I don't know why. And I know it sounds like I'm smack talking a lot about the Wyze band, and I'm not really. It's Wyze's first step into fitness. And one of the biggest considerations is the price. Wyze is great for low barrier to entry pricing. So Wyze band here is actually only $25. I'll let a lot go for $25. If you're looking to have a fitness tracker / connected home device for your children, this could be something that, you know, you start them out with. If they break it, you're not going to feel bad. Again, it's Wyze's first foray. There's some things that need improvement, some of which can be fixed with firmware updates in the future. Since just having this, there were probably 3 firmware updates that I went through. One when I first got it out of the box, one probably a week into it, and then recently. So there is room for improvement of the software. Actual hardware itself, not terrible, reasonably comfortable to wear, and all that stuff that you'd look for a fitness tracker. Again, this is my first type of fitness tracker like this, so I'm coming at this from a completely open mindset. I have nothing to compare this to, so this is what I will be comparing things to in the future. So, Wyze band, is it worth it? $25? If you're in the Wyze ecosystem already, it's worth checking out. If you don't need all of those other features, or you want a more accurate fitness tracker, you're probably going to want to look elsewhere. But again, $25, you can't really go wrong. So I have been Wanderer001. If you have any questions or comments, please feel free to leave them in the area below. And as always, thanks for watching.